A Cavs topic to wrap up today's show. If you missed the Ultimate Cavaliers show last night, Jason and I went over one thing we got right in our preseason predictions for the Cavs, one thing we got wrong about our preseason predictions for the Cavs, and one thing we still need clarity on as we go through the next 2/3, 3/4 of the season, whatever number you want to get to. And because Jason wasn't supposed to be on the show today, I asked Jason this question to wrap up last night's show.
Interesting.
There's a report out there that Jimmy Butler is potentially in the trade market. Shams of ESPN reported that the Heat are listening to trade offers, or at least willing to entertain the idea. The Cavs don't have the assets to acquire Jimmy Butler without breaking up the core four. So I'm going to ask you guys in a second, would you be willing to break up the core four in an attempt to get Jimmy Butler? But I asked Jason what he thought you guys would say on the show last night. Let's take a listen.
Yeah.
We're going to ask this on the show tomorrow. That same question, would you break up the core four? What does Bull say, yes or no?
No. I think he says no.
What does G say?
Yes.
What does Dustin say?
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you're right. I was thinking, why is Mike playing that now?
After they answer.
After we answer. Then we can change our opinion
No,
based
because
on
you guys are
Jason
integral guys. You guys wouldn't change your answers because of what
Have you met these guys before?
Me?
Come on.
Bull's a man of integrity, and I think we all know what G's going to say.
I'm the Duke of Niger.
Fine, so no one actually heard the answers. We'll play this
Go
out
ahead,
again.
G, you give your answer.
So, would you be willing to break up the core four if it meant you could
By
get
the way,
Jimmy Butler?
92% of our fans would say no to that.
I'm going to put it in the chat right now.
No, it would not be 92%.
So which one?
What percentage?
Does it matter? Does it matter which one of the core four?
No, it's dealer's choice. The question is, would you be willing to break up the core four if it meant you could get Jimmy Butler? If the Heat said we need any of the four plus whatever, would you be willing to make that trade in order to get Jimmy Butler?
Man, I'm not doing it unless it's for Jared Allen.
So you would say yes.
If you'd asked me this offseason, I would have said probably 85% G. Bush says yes.
Yeah.
Now it's tough. It's a little tougher. It's about 52% to 48.
Yeah.
Because I like it allows us. You know what? I'm gonna say this. If it was Jimmy Butler, I'm gonna actually say no. You know why? I'm gonna say no because Jimmy Butler is older. You're only gonna get playoff Jimmy, and I think Jared Allen and what he does defensively allows Evan Mobley to be Evan Mobley at this level. So I'm going to say no because I got 41-point Evan Mobley. It's tough. I would turn it down. 48% no, or 48% yes, 50% no. I'm not making the deal. Go ahead, Bull.
So real quick, just to G, you're saying no, you would not break up the core four.
No.
Okay, Bull.
I 100% would break it up. Now, I would not trade Mobley, and I would not trade Donovan Mitchell, obviously. But the other two, 100% I would trade Darius or Jared Allen, unless you guys who know better than I do would tell me, oh, it would be bad chemistry, or if there was something like that you think, if you guys thought it would be bad for the team from that perspective, then I wouldn't do it. But if you guys said, hey, if you can get him, you do it because he's great, whatever, then 100% I would trade. I think Darius would have to be the guy. They don't want Jared Allen. I would think. I don't know.
They have Bam Adebayo. It's just more of a principle. Would you break it up for that kind of guy?
100%. And listen, there are not many players that I would do that for the way this team is playing. And the reason, you're probably right, it's not quite 92%. But you know our fans, Jason. Our fans, when things are going well, they don't want to mess with it.
Yeah.
So there's probably fans losing their mind that I'm saying I would trade Darius Garland in a trade for Jimmy Butler. He's Jimmy Butler. I know I could win a championship with Jimmy Butler.
Before Jason goes, we made a poll this morning on the community tab.
Yeah.
Would you break up the core four if it meant you could get Jimmy Butler? 87% said no, they would not break up the core four. You guys didn't hear the answers earlier.
Well, before you do, Mike, I will say this, though. I don't love the question because
it doesn't.
I think there's a lot of people saying, well, I wouldn't trade Mitchell or Mobley like I said. And so they're saying no, even though they might trade the other two guys.
I would only think about trading Allen.
I would trade Garland, 100%.
So that's breaking up the core four.
Yes.
Yes. Here's what Jason said last night, and then we'll dive into why we think it's a good move or a potential bad move. This from last night. We're going to ask this on the show tomorrow. That same question, would you break up the core four? What does Bull say, yes or no?
No. I think he says no.
What does G say?
Yes.
What does Dustin say?
What brings back the best gambling return? What makes him the most money?
You're right about Dustin.
Yeah.
On both. I'm shocked.
Wow.
I'm shocked. 0 for 2. Daggone
Wow.
you guys.
Jason and I both said no, we would not. By the way,
Okay, you wouldn't?
I would not.
He's older.
Why?
He's got 1
curious.
year left on his deal.
Yeah.
I like the way that the Cavs have this set up for
Yeah.
an extended run, and I don't think Boston's going to be able to stay together. I think Boston's going to get too expensive. I think their time is a lot shorter than people realize.
But
And the
don't
East
you
will
have
be
to
open.
go for it when you have the chance?
Absolutely, and this is going for it.
Yeah.
Like they got a really good team,
Yeah.
so I would not.
And he has a player. It's a player option.
You got
right?
a player option for next year.
That changes
Yeah.
a lot.
Listen, if you guys who know basketball way better than I do say you wouldn't do it, then I would change. I would say, okay, don't do it.
it's more for the fact that it could be a 3-month rental.
I'm
and then
just saying.
you're
My only
out of
point
luck.
was, I don't believe there is a trade. Like I would consider in the right deal, and I don't know if there is a right deal, trading either Allen or Garland. I would not trade Mobley or Donovan for anything.
I don't think trading Darius for a rental. I would not do that. And Allen, I don't think is going to command as much
Right.
in a trade because he's
Right.
a non-shooting big.
Right.
So you're not going to get as much for him.
Would you trade Allen in theory if you can get Jimmy Butler?
No, I wouldn't bring up. I would not.
Okay, so
I
you wouldn't bring it up. So
is there a player out there that I would trade Jared Allen for? Yeah, probably.
yes.
but not Jimmy because of his age
Right.
and the
Is
contract
there any
situation.
player out there you trade Garland for?
Is there what?
Is there any player you trade Garland for?
Sure, probably. Yeah.
Giannis.
Yeah. but I mean, that was the one thing going back and watch
Yeah.
from the episode. The one thing that I said I got right is I didn't think they necessarily had to break up the backcourt
Yeah.
because they played well together 2 years ago. It's last year when Darius fell off, had a bad year, and everyone said, "Oh, you got to break them up." And I didn't think that you had to rush to break that up.
Yeah.
It's two different conversations. There was the story that we wrote in May about if Donovan resigns, Rich may go to the Cavs and ask Darius to be moved. That's separate from can they fit together on the floor.
Yeah,
I
right,
thought they
right.
could fit together.
From a pure basketball standpoint, then I got another question. From a pure basketball standpoint, if they did move Allen for, Butler,
Butler.
how does that look?
I don't think it looks anything because Mike's right. They got Adebayo. They got Bam. So
that would-
they would
And they
have
literally
any
just
interest in Jared.
drafted Khalil Ware,
So-
who's
Yeah.
a 7-foot
So,
guy.
so they
They
would
would-
probably want Garland. Second of all, is there anything to now? Maybe I got trolled. You know, the internet is there anything to this LeBron trade thing?
Would you even? Am I crazy to think that I don't want LeBron on this team? Is that insane?
Yes, that's insane.
Yeah.
I'd still take him.
So do you think is there anything to that?
You don't think he would screw up the chemistry of this team?
That's a risk, and that's part of the reason why I said I wouldn't want Jimmy because you don't want to mess with like what they have right now. They've got the right pH balance.
Yeah.
But I mean, LeBron is still LeBron.
I'm sure his fans are losing their minds that we're even having this
The
conversation.
the LeBron trade thing with Golden State is fascinating.
What would the trade be?
I just saw it pop up yesterday.
I
about,
did too. I thought it was it.
They have a ton of contracts that you could put
Isn't
together.
it enough with LeBron already? Like, just stay in L.A. He's got to try to buy another championship.
He's the biggest story in basketball still.
Is he?
He
Yes.
told me he told us years ago. I love Golden State. I love everything that they do. I could never play there just because of the optics of the whole thing. But he changes his mind all the time. Maybe he feels like enough time has passed and they're far enough removed from that
He's
era.
sunk that whole Laker team, hasn't he, to some degree at this
He
point?
got him a championship. They won a championship.
I saw a headline that if LeBron got traded, Bronny would have to get traded with him.
Yeah.
As if the Lakers wouldn't want to give up Bronny.
No, package deal.
I interviewed Joe Varden yesterday for my podcast, and I guess this is not surprising, but I said, would Bronny even be in the G League if it wasn't for LeBron? He said no.
Probably not. Yeah.
So
One more question for you guys on the Butler thing real quick. In a basketball scenario, and Bo, we kind of talked about this yesterday a little bit.
Yeah.
I sent you the tweet about a lot of teams are now interested in Herb Jones, which is going to raise his price, which
Right.
probably means he's not as realistic as I once thought he was. Do you think the Cavs, and we'll go around the horn, because we got super chats and I want to mention Tom Hamilton. Do you think the Cavs need some sort of upgrade at the 3 position if they are truly going to compete with Boston and whoever else for a championship? Just in a vacuum, do you feel like they need to improve that spot?
Probably. I'd say probably.
In my heart of hearts and deep down inside, I think the Cavs need one more piece. whether it's a 3 or whatever it is. I just think when they play the Celtics, I don't know if they're going to have enough.
Yeah.
At that time, scoring and somebody to get stops. I just think that the Celtics are still.
Yeah.
They still got too many people.
Jason?
Do they need another piece? I will say no. But I do think that they could use more size. And that doesn't necessarily mean on the wing, because if you start Dean Wade at the 3.
But can you trust Dean Wade? That's the problem.
Yeah, you can trust him to stay healthy.
Right, that's what I mean.
But you can't assume injury. You know
Right,
what
but
I mean?
he's been so injury prone.
I know, but if you move him into the 3, now you need size on the bench. You need a big off. So I think, could they use more size? Yes, and it'd be easier to find a backup big than it is to find a wing to plug.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was really fascinated with that lineup with Dean at the 3. Now, what do you do with Max Strus at that point? You know, I don't know. Like, Max came here to be a starter, so I don't know what you do with Max.
Is there any chance Max Strus is part of a deal?
I mean, sure.
Like, how much trade value does he have?
Decent, I think.
Yeah,
maybe.
I don't think
his contract's fine. It's not gross overpay by any means.
Yeah, it's not an anchor.
Couldn't he get them a better player than anybody else we're talking about trading?
I still think LeVert would have more value because it's expiring.
And see, that's where Mike and I disagree, because I don't think expiring teams aren't interested in clearing their books now like they were 15 years ago.
I felt like it used to be a huge story, and now it doesn't get talked about
and
much.
now what guys are doing is now they're signing their extensions in one city and then asking for a trade a year or two later. So cap space isn't as valuable as it was.
But
so
if you're a bad team, though, I'll just use the Nets as an example.
Yeah.
And then we got Tom Hamilton in Super Chat, so this is the last point on this. But if you're like the Nets, would you rather trade, because they make $16 million. They're both right in that same range, LeVert and Strus. Would you rather get a guy that's now off your books, or you get a guy in while you're trying to tank who's a good player who's still making $16 million?
It depends where you're at. I mean, I don't want to complicate. It depends where you're at in your rebuild, because I would like a veteran who came from Heat culture, who is a professional, who knows how to carry himself, who worked his way up from the bottom into a big-time contract. That would be a valuable piece in the locker room. Now, if you want to tank for 2 years, maybe not.
If tanking is so stupid. You can't guarantee yourself a number 1 pick anyway.
That little 12% chance is not enough for me.
So dumb. But there's not championship contender. There's teams in the middle, Mike. I'm sure there's. I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but are there some teams that are not having a good year, but they still see themselves as maybe a contender next year?
The Sixers?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. Maybe the Sixers, maybe the Bulls. I don't know.
I mean, there is a middle ground. I'm just saying, when you look at the teams that are most likely to be sellers, it's usually teams that are out of the playoffs and are trying to be better.
And here's the thing with tanking. Yes, you want the number 1 pick, but you really want a top 5, 6, 7 pick. You know? Like, that's why you're bad, you're going to be bad. Hey, even if we don't get 1, we're going to get a top whatever pick.
All right, we'll leave